Real quick, guys, today is going to be a long video because it needs to be a long video. I will have it chaptered appropriately. So if you want to skip to a particular section, or if you need to pick back up, having stopped the video at some point in time to do something else that's more important, then you can use those tools to great effect. Thank you. You guys asked for it. I'm going to provide it. There is a battle going on right now in the world of concealed carry insurance, of all things. And the competitors, if you will, are the United States Concealed Carry Association, which is arguably the largest in the field of that type of service right now. And then a company by the name of Attorneys on Retainer is seeking to move in on their market share. And I don't know how successful that is. I don't have any data on that. But this has been going on for months now. And what causes me to wade into this is I had several people reach out to me, and I published one of their emails that was redacted, in which I basically said, hey, I can't suggest either of these organizations and their services because, in my view, they do not rise to the level of organizations that display true Second Amendment and pro-freedom principles. And because of that, I got to say that, look, you should go with neither of these and find a better alternative. Since posting that, you guys have responded, and you've responded like, make the video now. Chill out. I am your slave. I will do this thing. But before I do, I think that it's really important that I get some disclaimers out of the way so that everything is transparent and above board. First off, the United States Concealed Carry Association. I have no official association with the USCCA whatsoever. I have no point of contact at the United States Concealed Carry Association, except for years ago, there was a guy that used to work their booth at the NRA annual meeting. This is before they got kicked out of the NRA annual meeting years ago. I don't remember when that was. And he was cool. I talked to him on more than one occasion, and that was years ago. I don't even think that guy works there anymore. You know who you are. In spite of that, over the years, I've received the periodic ad read from the United States Concealed Carry Association through a third party. And that looks something like this. Hey, Kurt, we've got some extra budget on this account this month. Over the course of the next 2 weeks, can you run a couple spots so you can fill the quota and send us a bill? No formal agreement or anything like that. Just some friends saying, hey, we need to fill this. You're reliable, or at least that's what they tell me. Not something that was ever a large presence on the channel. Not something that you've seen recently, because the last 3 times I've been asked to do that, I've told the USCCA to go screw themselves. I don't know for a fact that the third party has relayed those messages. That's just how I responded. And then on the third point, certainly not enough money to buy my allegiance. There is a price for every man. Mine hovers around the purchase an island type money, but I digress. And lastly, through a third party, I was invited to attend a lavish party thrown by the USCCA at SHOT Show 2022. I subsequently walked out of that party when I found out that Tim Kennedy was there. We will return to that here shortly. Attorneys on Retainer. I have no business dealings with Attorneys on Retainer. I have never run an ad for them. I have never made anything in support or defense of them. I have never taken money from them, either directly or indirectly through a third party. However, I have reached out to them to potentially work with them in light of the USCCA debacle as a prospective alternative to that service. Through that communication, I have since had 2 meetings with them, informal meetings, for the purposes of ascertaining whether that is a good fit or not. And through my discovery phase, I have determined that they are not a good fit for my organization. And some of those things we will be detailing in this video. However, I will tell you that all of the information that I'm going to share as it relates to AOR is freely available for you to find on the internet. This is not any earth-shattering stuff that I uncovered in some kind of business meeting somewhere. This will be solely relegated to the stuff that you can find out by yourself. I'm just going to collate it for you. And that sets the stage for the United States Concealed Carry Association versus attorneys on retainer. Coming to you after we hear a quick word from today's sponsor. Those of you who have followed the channel for any length of time will know that I'm a gym rat. And if you are similar, you know that just spend a fair amount of money on supplements on a regular basis. And there's always this question in the back of your mind, are my expenditures going to support some trash company somewhere that doesn't really care about American values? Well, I have found a company known as Phorm that is a pro-freedom supplement company. Well, over the course of the last couple of months, I've developed a relationship with the people over at Phorm, and I've tried pretty much every product that they make. Basically, I would explain it like this. You probably don't eat enough protein. Their whole impetus is to get as much protein in your face hole as possible. There's literally Phorm trash stuffed in the recesses of my desk. In some of my other reads, I'm going to focus on individual products. So if there's something you guys are interested in, let me know and I'll focus on that. And there's an affiliate link over at the affiliates page and on the link tree. It tells Phorm that I sent you. So if you'd use that, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you order over a certain dollar amount, there is free shipping. So thanks to Phorm for being who they are and making content like this one possible. Before we begin the burn down today, I want to say that it is my sincere hope that both of these companies fix their shit. While the issues on display here are substantively different between the two, I think that they are clearly indicative that both of these organizations have been compromised. There have been allegations on both sides of business practices and attacks between the two. I cannot sort those out because it is unclear who fired first. But I think that it is clear that nobody is served by this kind of behavior. Furthermore, both of these organizations have been invited on to defend themselves. I am unsure if those messages have reached through the third-party communication. However, I reaffirm that invitation today. Both of these organizations are welcome to come on and defend themselves in a live interview. Without further ado, as far as I see it, there are three issues with the United States Concealed Carry Association. And these are not in any particular order of severity. It's more like a how it flows type thing. The first is that the USCCA absolutely sucks at handling the public perception of their policies. It came out that the USCCA has a provision in their insurance documents that says that they will not be obligated to defend you if you are charged with a crime. And what most people with two neurons that can fire in concert would believe that that means is that if you have a USCCA policy and you walk into a Walmart and start shooting the place up, then the USCCA is not going to provide you with a lawyer. However, we are who we are in the Second Amendment community. And what many people take that to mean is if you have a prosecutor that has an axe to grind with you and they charge you with some kind of crime, which is the whole reason that you would have the USCCA insurance protections in the first place, that the USCCA is not going to defend you. And they have done an absolutely deplorable job of diffusing that situation. There is no insurance policy on the planet that can ensure criminal behavior, legitimate criminal behavior. And again, the USCCA has not done a good job drawing a distinction between scenario A and scenario B that I just listed. That is made worse by number two. And the second thing that the USCCA has done poorly is that there have been some high-profile denials of service in recent months. Here's the deal with those situations. I do not have time in this video that's already going to be horrifically long to detail the individual intricacies of each of the cases in which the USCCA's actions were drawn into question. You are going to have to go and read the individual details of those cases and determine whether you believe the USCCA acted accordingly. I think that in some of those instances, the USCCA could have acted much better, and in other ones, meh, right? But that is something that you are going to have to manage for yourself. You're going to have to uncover for yourself. What I have to say about this, though, is that the lack of transparency, or delayed transparency even, on the part of the United States Concealed Carry Association, paired with number one that I covered, their inability to manage their public perception, have created this situation that we are currently in, where the rank and file person out there on the street hears about the USCCA and they say, nope, they're not going to cover me. And that may very well be true, because remember, you are dealing with an insurance company. And if you've ever done anything with any insurance company ever, their modus operandi is to get out of paying for whatever they can get out of paying. That's just all insurance companies ever. Now, to be entirely fair, there are a lot of people that have flown through the USCCA's program. And I think they claim like 800,000 members or something like that. And let's say that, to be generous, 1% of the people who have acquired the service actually end up using it. Out of that large quantity of people, if 5 or less individuals have had problems, well, I suppose that you would have to consider that a pretty good rate. But again, the USCCA is not very good at showing instances where they have successfully defended, and they have not done a good job of managing that public perception and the clash between the two. So in my mind, I find a big question mark on whether the USCCA is good at doing this or not. And that's what I would have to say about that, except for that it plugs into number 3, which is their high-priced brand ambassadors that they are squandering money on that could have otherwise been used to maybe handle this situation, not only on the ground with the individuals that are having issues like denied by the insurance arm, but the USCCA says, no, we don't agree with the assessment of the insurance company. Let's intervene ourselves because we're the USCCA. Well, maybe they could have done that if they weren't spending millions of dollars every year on some of these shitbirds. The first one that I'm throwing in here is simply to demonstrate a pattern of behavior. I'm not going to spend an extreme amount of time on him, is Sean Hannity. Personally speaking, I find him whiny and annoying, and your mileage may vary on that. But the thing that I take issue with is that over the years, I have heard him say some really stupid things as it relates to the Second Amendment movement and guns in general. And generally speaking, I find him simply milquetoast on the issue and willing to blow all over the landscape depending on how the political winds blow. If you are the USCCA and you're trying to have advocates out there for your organization, why would you choose somebody like this to do that sort of thing for you when you have access to literally hundreds, if not thousands, of other options out there that have demonstrated real-world Second Amendment principles? Well, the answer to that is pretty simple, and that's that the USCCA is chasing his numbers. In fact, I would say over the years, he's probably responsible for a decent chunk of that large membership that they have, regardless of whatever his subscription rates are, because he's just so big. So I am a capitalist. I fully support Sean's ability and right to grift at that level. I'm just saying that the USCCA is willing to bring whoever it is in, regardless of their principles or not, based on the size of their audience and their perceived benefit to their business model. And if it was just somebody like Sean that's kind of wishy-washy on the issue, then I would give USCCA a pass, but it gets much worse than that. Because ultimately, as an organization like this, you are who you hire. And at this point in time, I'm going to bring in Tim Gun Control Kennedy. This man is a charlatan. He grifts through our industry, passing himself off as a special forces warrior and an MMA fighter, and everybody sees these glamorous things that he does and thinks that he's cool and they want to associate with him. He's all over all kinds of posters, all over SHOT Show and the various industry. Really, if you look at what he advocates for, we have covered this ad nauseum at this point in time, all the way back to the Armstrong interview where he says that gun control is a massive solution and advocates for the disarmament of 18 to 20-year-olds. Fast forward to just like a month or two ago, I covered the fact that He is the face of an enhanced background check company that seeks to literally go through your social media and give you a social credit score on whether or not you should be able to purchase a gun or not. This is the face of the United States Concealed Carry Association. What the hell are you guys thinking? When you sign somebody like this, they are you. They're supposed to be out there projecting your values, and you sign on to be part and parcel with their values. This is the image that you're projecting out there. This is not news to anyone at the United States Concealed Carry Association. I'm not the only one who said this to you guys over the years. This is not news to you, but I'll lay it out there for you like this. Just because somebody was an employee of the federal government in their 20s does not automatically make them a fit for our industry. In fact, I would argue that being an agent of the government should automatically be a disqualifier unless otherwise demonstrated. These are not the types of people that we should have working here. Clean up your act, United States Concealed Carry Association. And I speak for many when I say that. Attorneys on retainer. Now, to be completely fair, I spent 9 minutes on the USCCA, so I can only spend a maximum of 9 minutes on AOR, and I'm going to hold myself to that. There are two problems that I find with attorneys on retainer, and the first one is Mark Victor. Now, as far as the man, Mark Victor, is concerned, I've had more than one conversation with him. I find him to be a delightful human and an intellectual that's fun to talk to. However, when you are the head of a company, the face of a company, your interests across the board have a tendency to follow you wherever you go. And when you have run for political office and have held certain views, those views follow you, particularly when you have written them down. Now, one of the things that Mark routinely advocates for is being a person of high moral character. And to his credit, this information is still published on the internet, even though I have brought it to his attention that they are bad facts. Well, unfortunately, it appears that I have to retract my previous statement because, well, the website has changed. The good news is we have the original screenshots. The internet is forever. But I think that keeping my original statement in here actually lends some credence to what it is that I'm trying to say here. You can like someone as a person and have a beer with them or whatever it is, and still strongly disagree with their political positions. This is not a personal attack against Mark Victor the man. This is an audit of the positions that he has taken previously, and as the head of a Second Amendment organization that seeks to defend people against criminal prosecution, these sorts of things weigh heavy when it comes to those that might find themselves utilizing such service. So what are some of those positions? Mark is also the head of a super cringe global peace movement known as Live and Let Live. Yes, you heard that correctly.
Reasonable people of the world, consider this your invitation to join the world's only real peace movement.
This ideology is entirely divorced from reality, but it has several positions that he used in his political run that are still published. And they can include the whole gambit of things that you would just assume based on the name are in there. But it also covers Second Amendment and related issues. Well, let me show you a couple excerpts. The firearms policy starts out reading much like a statement from a Democrat. Guns exist. They're here. People have a right to them. But there are three categories of ways a person could present a substantial threat or risk of initiating force merely by possessing a firearm, weapon, or other dangerous substance. The first section talks about felons in possession. And quite frankly, I don't have time to cover this today. We have covered this ad nauseum. I simply disagree. To their credit, though, they do talk at the very bottom about how when somebody's released from prison, it should be up to their local community to decide. Nope, absolutely disagree. They are either too dangerous to be on the street, armed or unarmed. The next section talks about their support for red flag laws. And to their credit, they also say that this shouldn't be used to jack up law-abiding citizens, but that's how they're being used. Category 2 is not one that we really need to argue about. It's the mental incompetence thing, but it also goes into temporary disarmament for drunkenness and things like that. There's not really a whole lot to argue about here. Let's move on to Category 3. Category 3, technical incompetence. This is a doozy. Considering the universe of firearms, weapons, and dangerous substances, it should be evident that mere possession of some items require a higher degree of technical competence to possess, store, and use, such that we do not subject others to substantial risk of being harmed. Said another way, if a person is entirely ignorant about the nature of the firearm, another weapon, or dangerous substance, its capabilities, or how to store and use it safely, we can reasonably conclude such a person possesses a substantial risk to others by simply possessing the item without appropriate supervision. For example, the technical competence required to safely operate, store a simple revolver differs from that needed for a fully automatic belt-fed 50 caliber machine gun. I strongly disagree, but let's continue. While a local community may or may not opt to require a simple class as a prerequisite to owning a basic revolver, we should reasonably expect more extensive training and certification will be required to possess an automatic machine gun. I strongly disagree. As the weapons get more complex and capable of more significant harm to more people at greater distances, a higher level of technical competency and more detailed storage requirements are required. What? For example, it may be entirely appropriate to require that before any person possesses a fully automatic weapon, that person must present a valid certificate reflecting proper training from a reputable training organization. Who determines if it's a reputable training organization? Before we can reasonably conclude mere possession of that weapon does not violate the legal principle. It is important to note that the requirement of proper competency to possess certain firearms, other weapons, and dangerous substances should never be used as a ruse to simply ban these items by people not committed to proper application of the 3L principle. Blah, 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 blah. That's how it's used in Realville. As such, the right to keep and bear arms does not encompass the person who lacks the sufficient technical competency to safely possess, store, or operate a firearm, any other weapon, or dangerous substance. Bullshit. Now, this policy goes on to talk about the strawmans of nuclear and biological weapons and crap. We don't need to waste any more time on that. To rehash, if you want to see the felon thing, that's fine. The mental incompetency thing, fine. But red flag laws, storage requirements, and training and permitting requirements, no. But that's enough of the policy. Let's move on to part 2 of what's wrong with AOR. Now, if you remember back to USCCA, one of the major criticisms that I said was that it's an insurance company. You kind of have to know who you're working with. That's one of the flaws of USCCA's system. And Attorneys on Retainer has taken USCCA to task on the fact that they are an insurance company, and AOR is quite vocal in voicing that they are not an insurance company, except for, well, a couple months back, they got dinged by the state of Connecticut saying that they can't offer their services in the state of Connecticut because they are offering insurance. How did AOR, as a business, respond? Well, here's an excerpt.
Therefore, upon the consent of the parties, it is hereby ordered and adjudged, number 1, that the insurance commissioner has jurisdiction of the subject matter of this administrative proceeding. Number 2, that in the future, the respondent shall not offer the Attorneys on Retainer program in Connecticut unless and until such program complies fully with all applicable laws and regulation. Attorneys for Freedom by Mark J. Victor. Next page is the certification where the notary certified my signature and below, dated at Hartford, Connecticut, the 7th day of June, 2024, Andrew Mays, Insurance Commissioner. Yes. So that closes this little chapter on the cease and desist. Status quo right now is people who are in AOR are unaffected by this, except that now they have AOR for free, which is fine with us. No biggie. And we can't sign up new clients in Connecticut, but this probably gets us a lot more attention in Connecticut. And I think when people find out about the new program, we are getting ready to very soon unveil, more and more people are going to want to sign up, knowing that the insurance commissioner in Connecticut is just fine.
Is becoming insurance. Knowing that they are becoming insurance, they still have on their homepage, what did it say precisely? Don't trust an insurance company with your self-defense shooting. Does this seem like the behavior of someone who is conducting themselves with high moral character?
Another big one that is not covered with the Attorneys on Retainer program, red flag coverage.
An attorney on retainer refusing to represent their client? That's weird. Sounds a lot like an insurance company. That might have something to do with their stance on red flag laws. But I said that I would only spend 9 minutes, and my time has expired on both ends of the discussion between USCCA and AOR. That is where I'm going to have to break today's video off. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, and I'm sorry that this was such a long video, but I have always said a video should be exactly as long as it needs to be to get the point off. And with that, I'm out of here today.